So I want to take this opportunity to have a bit of a rant about American exceptionalism. In its purest form, this is the belief that the United States is uniquely different from other nations. It centers notions of Americanism and sees them as having a unique role in both domestic and international affairs. After witnessing the attack on the US Capitol last week by patriots who proffered these notions, I want to quickly talk about how this is the perfect storm of a political and media landscape that relies on these uncritical beliefs of American exceptionalism. Ironically, the common use of the term comes from Joseph Stalin's disagreement with American communists in the 1920s, who objected to some aspects of Marx's analysis due to the exceptional nature of America, thanks to its natural resources, industrial capacity, and absence of rigid class distinctions. Echoing arguments made in Take Hold of Our History, Make America Radical Again by Harvey J. Kaye, historian T. Harry Williams argued that Lincoln believed in the United States man would create a society that would be the best and the happiest in the world. The United States was the supreme demonstration of democracy. However, the Union did not exist just to make men free in America. It had an even greater mission, to make them free everywhere. By the mere force of its example, America would bring democracy to an undemocratic world. This has undoubtedly led to the expansion of an American empire whose imperialism has been felt in nearly all corners of the globe. In one of Joe Biden's responses to the Capitol attack, he stated, "Let me be very clear, the scenes of chaos at the Capitol do not represent who we are. What we are seeing is a small number of extremists dedicated to lawlessness. This is not dissent, it's disorder. It borders on sedition, and it must end now." As many people were quick to point out, lawless coups to overthrow governments absolutely represents who America is. I want to argue that this concept has been weaponized domestically along party lines, and the uncritical acceptance of certain aspects of American rule have led to a situation where democratic freedoms and self-determination are no longer in vogue. Although this has been the experience of much of the rest of the world for the previous century. As has been said before, fascism is imperialism come home. Indeed, American exceptionalism is now an established aspect of the Republican platform. In a section of the GOP website called America, the Indispensable Nation, it states, "For the last several generations, our country's two major political parties were dedicated to the nation's security and the advance of freedom around the world. Both had learned from mistakes of the past and realized that a weak America invited aggression. Both recognized the need to stand with friends and oppose those who wished us evil. Whatever their disagreements, both the Republican and Democratic parties stood for peace through strength, and strength meant American military superiority. This bipartisan commitment has tragically changed. The leadership of the Democratic Party, both those in office and those who seek it, no longer see America as a force for good in the world. They do not stand by allies or stand strong against our foes. They pander to world opinion and neglect the national interest. They cannot be trusted to advance either the cause of liberty or our national security in the dangerous years in which we live. We affirm our party's tradition of world leadership established by President Eisenhower and followed by every Republican president since. It stands for enormous power and the prudence to use it sparingly, precisely, and only in grave necessity. It stands for involvement, not intervention. It requires consultation, not permission to act. It leads from the front and ensures all others do their parts as well. It embraces American exceptionalism and rejects the false prophets of decline and diminution. It is, in sum, the way we will lead the world into a new century of greater peace and prosperity. Another American century. This unique notion of Americanism is important to understand for those looking at the US from afar. For us, culture war arguments about monuments and history and textbooks seem like a farcical complaint, like trivialities that allow people to get worked up over nothing. But through the lens of American exceptionalism, this begins to make sense. It's not a nuanced and complex history that people are objecting to, but the notion the United States is not special and unique. For those who've grown up not only with this message being delivered to them from politicians, but also a complicit film and television industry propped up by neoliberal expansionism, it's easy to see how someone objecting to a statue of a slave owner is suddenly an existential attack.
Goes all the way back past the Washington Monument. Do you believe this? Look at this. That was... Unfortunately, they gave the press the prime seats. I can't stand that. No, but you look at that behind. I wish they'd flip those cameras and look behind you. That is the most amazing sight. When they make a mistake, you get to see it on television. Amazing. Amazing. All the way back. And don't worry, we will not take the name off the Washington Monument. We will not. Cancel culture. You know, they wanted to get rid of the Jefferson Memorial. Either take it down or just put somebody else in there. I don't think that's going to happen. It damn well better not. Although with this administration, if this happens, it could happen. You'll see some really bad things happen. They'll knock out Lincoln too, by the way. They've been taking his statue down. But then we signed a little law. You hurt our monuments, you hurt our heroes, you go to jail for 10 years and everything stopped. You notice that? It stopped.
No longer a culture war talking points about simple pluralistic disagreement. They are attacks on the very foundation of the United States as a country, a society, and a nation. As we move on from Donald Trump's first presidency, the notion of American exceptionalism needs to be addressed, and there can be no peace for the country or the globe if the last remaining superpower sees itself as uniquely positioned to do whatever it wants and tell everyone else it's right to do so. I want to give a great big thank you to my patrons. In Puppy Preschool, we have Ben Davis. My guard doggo is Tristan Hennessy. And A. Zeitlow, Jackson Orville, and Dangwin are all very good boys. If you're interested in supporting what we're doing here, you can head to patreon.com/onlydogontheleft and check out what we offer. Thanks very much.